The Amazon River is a restless body, shifting with the rains, rising and falling with the seasons, forever reshaping the land it cuts through. Its waters are heavy with silt, stained the color of tea, and from above the surface looks deceptively calm. But a sudden break in the ripples betrays movement below. A sleek, sinuous head emerges, followed by another, then another, and soon the water is alive with shapes, darting and circling, each one punctuated by a high-pitched chirp or whistle. These are giant otters, the largest members of the mustelid family, stretching nearly 2 meters from nose to tail. They are not solitary wanderers, but cooperative guardians of their watery domain, and in their presence, the Amazon's pulse quickens. To understand the giant otter is to understand family itself, for this species survives not by the strength of the individual, but through the unity of the group. A typical family can number from 4 to 8 members, anchored by a breeding pair and their offspring across several years. Unlike most predators that hunt alone, giant otters coordinate their efforts with extraordinary precision, moving like a single organism broken into many parts. When they slip beneath the surface, each individual holds a role in the chase. Some drive fish forward in bursts of speed, others cut off escape routes, and still others wait in ambush to seize the prize. The river becomes their stage, and the hunt unfolds like a rehearsed performance that has been practiced over generations. Their quarry is most often fish, but not just any fish. Giant otters target mid-level species such as cichlids and characines, fast and agile prey that shape the aquatic food web. By consuming these fish in significant numbers, otters prevent them from overwhelming the system. If unchecked, these species could deplete the smaller fish and invertebrates below them, unraveling the balance that keeps the river alive. Thus, though their appetites are voracious, a single adult can consume up to 4 kilograms of fish per day. Their role is keystone, maintaining equilibrium in a system where imbalance spreads quickly. The otters, in a sense, are not only predators but regulators, curating the composition of the river community with every successful hunt. The otter's advantage lies not only in teamwork, but in adaptation honed by water itself. Their bodies are built for fluidity, long, muscular, with dense, water-repellent fur that traps air for insulation. Their webbed feet push against the current like paddles, while their flattened tails act as rudders, allowing sharp turns and sudden bursts of speed. Their eyes and nostrils are set high on the head, permitting them to scan above the water while remaining submerged. These features make them apex hunters within their ecological niche, perfectly tuned to chase prey in turbid rivers where visibility is low and currents are strong. But perhaps the most remarkable feature of the giant otter is its voice. Few mammals possess such an extensive repertoire of sounds, and fewer still rely on it as heavily. Researchers have documented more than 20 distinct calls, ranging from rapid whistles used during hunts to alarm barks that ripple through the group at the first sign of a caiman, to the deep staccato hums exchanged between mates. This is a family that speaks constantly, weaving a tapestry of sound that guides their actions and binds them together. The river carries these voices, echoing through flooded forests, and one cannot help but think of it as a dialect, a language born of necessity, evolving through survival. Life for a giant otter family is not without its perils. The Amazon teems with rivals and threats. Black caimans patrol the same waters, powerful enough to seize an unwary adult. Jaguars occasionally ambush along the banks. Even piranhas, though far smaller, pose danger to pups left vulnerable. And yet the otters are not defenseless. They meet threats with collective aggression, rushing as a unit toward predators, snapping their jaws, and unleashing a barrage of barks. Few animals dare to confront a united group, and in many ways their power lies in this cohesion. The reproductive cycle underscores the importance of family cohesion. A pair bonds for life, and together they rear their offspring with contributions from older siblings. Pups are born in dens dug into the riverbank, blind and helpless, reliant on milk for the first weeks. The entire group participates in raising them, bringing food, guarding the den, and teaching them to swim and hunt. Survival in these early stages is tenuous. Flooding can destroy dens, predators lurk at every turn, and food scarcity threatens growth. Yet those who survive inherit not only genetic material, but a cultural legacy. The learned techniques of hunting, the subtle variations of calls, and the memory of territory boundaries. In this way, giant otters pass down knowledge as much as DNA, embedding their place in the chain of life. The ecological consequences of their presence ripple outward. Where otters are strong, fish populations remain balanced, aquatic vegetation thrives, and water clarity improves as trophic cascades settle into order. Where they vanish, as they have in parts of South America due to hunting and habitat loss, the system falters. Mid-level fish boom unchecked, smaller organisms decline, and the river loses some of its complexity. It is a reminder that predators do not merely consume, they sculpt. By shaping who lives and who dies, they give form to the ecosystem itself. The giant otter is also a storyteller of human history in the Amazon. Once widespread, they were hunted nearly to extinction for their pelts, prized for their softness and density. By the 1970s, their numbers had collapsed, and only fragments of populations survived in remote tributaries. Conservation efforts have since brought them back in some regions, yet they remain vulnerable, their future tied to the health of the river. Pollution, deforestation, and overfishing all erode the foundation on which they depend. Their survival, therefore, is entwined with our choices, whether we see them as guardians of biodiversity or as competitors for fish. To watch them in their element is to witness more than a hunt or a family dynamic. It is to see a thread in a larger choreography that binds the Amazon together. The otter's cooperative hunting resonates with the communal foraging of army ants, with the collective alarm calls of monkeys, with the synchronized blooming of trees that depend on insect pollinators. Nature here does not operate as chaos, but as rhythm, each species striking its notes in the grander performance. The giant otter's notes are loud and clear, the urgent whistles of a chase, the protective growls at a caiman, the soft coos exchanged between mother and pup. The chain begins with them not by accident, but by design of the system itself. They are the opening act, shaping the flow of the river so that others may follow. Fish populations kept in balance allow smaller insects and crustaceans to thrive, feeding birds and amphibians. Plants pollinated by those insects stabilize the banks where armadillos dig. Mammals kept in check by snakes and ocelots are nourished by the very vegetation that flourishes in balanced soil. And somewhere in this cycle, butterflies drink from the tears of otters, drawn to the minerals in their eyes, a small, almost poetic link that ties predator to pollinator, mammal to insect, through a shared resource. In the end, the giant otter is more than a hunter. It is a regulator, a teacher, a parent, and a voice. It is a guardian of balance in waters that would otherwise tilt toward disorder. Its survival ensures the rhythm of the Amazon's aquatic stage continues, setting the tone for every act that follows. And so, when we hear the chorus of whistles rising from the river's surface, we are not just hearing animals calling to one another. We are hearing the opening notes of a chain that stretches through the forest, binding life into a pattern that, though hidden, is precise and unbreakable, so long as each link remains. The forest floor of the Amazon is a place of paradox. It is both crowded and empty, layered with roots, leaves and shadows, yet so silent that even the soft rustle of a lizard tail feels amplified. The canopy far above muffles sunlight, breaking it into shards that scatter across the undergrowth. In these dim corridors of green and brown, movement is rare and often sudden, for this is a world ruled by ambush. Somewhere beneath a blanket of fallen leaves, coils lie waiting. They are perfectly still, patterned like the very earth they rest upon. Hours, perhaps days, pass in this silence. Then, a flash of motion, a snap too quick for the eye to follow, and life is extinguished before sound can register. The bushmaster has struck, and the forest floor returns to quiet, as though nothing had happened at all. The bushmaster snake, Lachesis muta, is the longest venomous snake in the Americas, sometimes exceeding 3 meters in length. Unlike the slender tree-dwelling serpents of the canopy, this viper is built for power and patience. Its body is thick, muscular, and camouflaged in mottled shades of brown and tan that mirror the patchwork of dead leaves on the ground. The head is broad and triangular, housing venom glands that rival those of any New World snake. Yet its size alone is not what makes the bushmaster formidable. It is the way this snake turns stillness into a weapon, transforming invisibility into inevitability. The venom of the bushmaster is not designed for prolonged struggles. It is a biochemical key that shuts down its prey's body in moments. Comprised of hemotoxins and neurotoxins, it simultaneously disrupts blood clotting, destroys tissue, and interferes with nervous transmission. For a small mammal, a rodent, a possum, or rabbit, this means collapse before escape is possible. In evolutionary terms, such potency is not cruelty, but efficiency. In a dense forest where every calorie counts, the quicker the kill, the lower the chance of injury or lost energy for the predator. Venom is expensive to produce, and so it must be decisive. Bushmasters are ambush predators, and their hunting strategy is built on patience that borders on asceticism. They will coil along known animal trails and wait for hours, even days, without moving. Their bodies are equipped with heat-sensitive pits between the eyes and nostrils, infrared detectors that allow them to perceive warm-blooded prey in total darkness. This adaptation is a reminder that evolution here is not about speed alone, but about sensory mastery. In the Amazon night, where vision falters, the bushmaster sees heat itself, turning the invisible into the unavoidable. Although encounters with humans are rare, the bushmaster has earned a reputation that extends far beyond its actual numbers. Indigenous groups regard it with a mix of fear and reverence, sometimes portraying it as an enforcer of natural balance. Stories describe the snake as a judge in the forest, punishing those who wander recklessly. Such symbolism is not misplaced. While giant otters regulate fish in the rivers, the bushmaster enforces restraint on land by keeping rodent populations in check. Without predators like this, small mammals, with their fast reproductive cycles and insatiable appetites, would explode in numbers. They would strip seedlings, compete with birds and reptiles for food, and alter the vegetation structure of the forest floor. The bushmaster's presence, therefore, is not simply a matter of survival for itself, but for the integrity of the ecosystem. This role becomes most evident when snakes are absent. In areas where bushmasters have declined due to habitat destruction or human persecution, rodent populations show sharp increases. Such booms ripple outward. More rodents mean more crop raids in nearby agricultural fields, more competition with native species, and greater spread of diseases carried by small mammals. In this way, the bushmaster's silence echoes far beyond the forest floor. Its strike, or lack thereof, can tip the balance between stability and collapse. Despite its size and venom, the bushmaster is not aggressive by default. It avoids confrontation whenever possible, relying on camouflage to remain unseen. Even when disturbed, it often chooses retreat over attack. This behavior sets it apart from many vipers, which rely on intimidation displays. The bushmaster's power lies in being underestimated, in existing almost invisibly within the forest. To spot one in the wild is to realize how many times you may have passed within a meter of one without ever knowing. Its rarity in sightings is not due to low numbers alone, but to its mastery of remaining undetected. Reproduction in the bushmaster reveals another fascinating divergence from most snakes. It lays eggs rather than giving birth to live young, a trait unusual among vipers. A female may lay 10 to 20 eggs in a nest, which she guards with surprising dedication until they hatch. This maternal care is rare among snakes and suggests that even within the realm of reptiles, strategies for survival are diverse and complex. Hatchlings emerge already equipped with venom, miniature replicas of their parents, and from the start they carry the same dual burden: to remain unseen and to strike only when it matters. Thermoregulation adds another layer of challenge to their existence. As ectotherms, bushmasters depend on the ambient temperature of their environment to regulate metabolism. In the cool understory, their slow pace is not laziness but physiology. Every movement is measured to conserve energy, every strike calculated to yield maximum reward. Unlike mammals that burn energy to maintain warmth, snakes economize, their bodies tuned to the rhythm of the forest's temperature shifts. This means they can endure long periods without food, weeks, even months, relying on their efficient metabolism. When prey does arrive, it is consumed whole, digested slowly, and converted into the fuel for the next long vigil. Predator-prey interactions involving the bushmaster also reveal unexpected symmetries. Birds of prey such as hawk eagles may take young snakes, while larger carnivores like jaguars occasionally kill adults, though rarely for food. These interactions keep even the judge accountable within the larger web of life. The bushmaster may control rodents, but it too is controlled, woven into a cycle where no role is absolute. This balance of power ensures that even the most fearsome predator cannot dominate unchecked. The bushmaster's ecological role has been mirrored in human imagination. To many indigenous peoples, its strike is a warning against arrogance, a reminder that the forest operates under laws older than humanity. Its name, derived from colonial encounters, reflects the respect it commands as much as the fear it instills. Even today, herpetologists studying the snake often remark on its paradoxical nature, both dangerous and reclusive, both feared and rarely seen. It is as if the snake itself resists being known, choosing instead to remain an enigma at the heart of the Amazon. If the giant otter is a guardian of the waters, the bushmaster is a judge of the earth. Its verdict is swift but impartial, delivered only when necessity dictates. In ecological terms, it curates the rhythm of populations, ensuring that the forest floor does not spiral into chaos. In symbolic terms, it embodies restraint, a predator that kills not with frenzy, but with discipline. Its presence affirms that the Amazon is not ruled by randomness, but by choreography, where every participant has its part to play. And so, when the forest falls into silence and the undergrowth appears lifeless, the performance may only be waiting for its cue. Somewhere beneath the leaves, coils rest unseen, and in that stillness lies judgment. The next rustle of a rodent may bring a strike that lasts only a fraction of a second, yet that moment reverberates through the entire system. The bushmaster's silence, its patience, its lethal precision, all of it adds up to a choreography of restraint, one that binds the Amazon together in balance. The canopy of the Amazon is a shifting mosaic of green, pierced by shafts of sunlight that fall like golden columns through the foliage. Within this aerial world, something delicate drifts on the currents of air. Iridescent wings flash briefly, catching the light at impossible angles, then vanish again into shadow. A butterfly has entered the frame, its flight appearing aimless at first, yet carrying with it a hidden purpose. Where the giant otter brings unity through strength and the bushmaster enforces order through restraint, the butterfly moves between worlds almost unnoticed, an emissary of connections so fragile that without them the forest would unravel. At a glance, the butterfly seems improbable for survival here. Its body is slight, its wings paper-thin, and its flight erratic. Compared to predators armed with fangs, claws, or venom, it looks like a fleeting decoration of the forest. Yet appearances deceive. Butterflies, together with their moth relatives, are among the most successful insects on Earth, occupying every continent except Antarctica. In the Amazon, their diversity is staggering, numbering in the thousands of species. Each has carved out a niche, relying on flowers, minerals, and microhabitats that have co-evolved with them over millions of years. Their very fragility has become an advantage. Light bodies carried on thermal currents require little energy, and their seemingly random flight path makes them difficult targets for predators. Their ecological role begins with pollination, the silent transfer of life from flower to flower. As a butterfly feeds on nectar, its proboscis uncoils, a delicate tube capable of reaching into the deepest recesses of blossoms. Pollen grains cling to its legs, wings, and proboscis, and are carried invisibly to the next bloom. This is not an act of charity, but of necessity. The butterfly gains sugar-rich fuel, and the plant secures reproduction. In a forest where hundreds of plant species may flower simultaneously, the specificity of these partnerships matters. Some butterflies specialize in certain flowers, while others serve as generalists, ensuring that genetic material flows across populations. This invisible courier service maintains the diversity of trees, vines, and understory plants, which in turn provide fruit, shelter, and oxygen for countless other organisms. But nectar is not their only resource. Many Amazonian butterflies engage in a behavior called mud puddling, where they gather in clusters on riverbanks, sandbars, or damp soil to drink mineral-rich water. What appears to be idle fluttering on the ground is actually the extraction of vital salts, especially sodium, often scarce in plant-based diets. The minerals fuel reproduction. Males that obtain them transfer these nutrients to females during mating, directly influencing the success of their offspring. In a surprising twist of adaptation, some species go further, feeding on carrion dung or even the tears of mammals, including caimans, turtles, and tapirs. By seeking nutrients from such unconventional sources, butterflies recycle matter that might otherwise remain locked in the ecosystem. In their quiet way, they are scavengers as well as pollinators, bridging the cycles of life and death. The vulnerability of butterflies is obvious. Their wings are easily torn, their bodies fragile, and yet resilience defines them. Their life cycle itself embodies transformation: egg to caterpillar, caterpillar to chrysalis, chrysalis to adult. Each stage carries its own ecological function. Caterpillars are voracious herbivores, converting plant tissue into biomass that fuels predators like birds and wasps. Pupae, hidden within silken shelters, offer food to specialized parasites and fungi. Adults become both pollinators and prey, feeding spiders, bats, and small birds. The butterfly, then, is not a single role but many: herbivore, prey, pollinator, recycler, each link essential to the choreography of the Amazon. Their defenses are as diverse as their colors. Some species rely on camouflage, folding wings to mimic leaves, bark, or even bird droppings. Others use bright warning colors to signal toxicity, gained from plants consumed in their larval stage. The blue morpho, one of the most iconic Amazonian butterflies, flashes iridescent wings that dazzle and disorient predators, then folds them to reveal dull brown undersides with eye spots that mimic larger animals. This duality, brilliance and concealment, mirrors the butterfly's paradoxical role in the forest, fragile in appearance, yet deeply influential in function. The presence of butterflies also reveals much about the health of the ecosystem. Because they are sensitive to microclimates, pollution, and habitat change, they act as bioindicators. A decline in butterfly diversity signals broader environmental stress, often before it becomes visible in larger animals. Their reliance on specific host plants ties their survival directly to forest integrity. Clear a patch of forest, and the butterfly species linked to its plants vanish with it. Conservationists therefore study butterflies not only for their beauty, but for the silent warnings they carry about the future of the Amazon. Their relationships extend beyond plants and minerals. In one of nature's more curious interactions, butterflies have been observed drinking the tears of reptiles, mammals, and even birds. This lacryphagy provides salt in environments where it is scarce. But the behavior is also symbolic. The butterfly literally feeds on the secretions of other creatures, bridging physiological needs across species. A caiman basking on a riverbank may have several butterflies perched on its eyes, undisturbed, the predator tolerating this tiny siphoning because the cost is negligible. In this interaction, predator and pollinator meet not in violence, but in quiet exchange, a reminder that survival in the Amazon is not only about killing, but connecting. Butterflies are also participants in mimicry systems that tie multiple species together in webs of deception and protection. Harmless butterflies may evolve to mimic toxic ones, borrowing their warning colors to deter predators. Sometimes entire guilds of unrelated insects, butterflies, moths, even beetles, converge on similar patterns, creating a shared signal that predators learn to avoid. This collective illusion magnifies the impact of individual defenses, an example of cooperation achieved not through communication, but through evolutionary convergence. In this way, the butterfly's survival strategy becomes part of a community-wide choreography, shaped by millions of years of predator-prey interactions. Their symbolism in human cultures is equally profound. For many indigenous groups, butterflies represent the souls of the departed, fleeting messengers between the physical and spiritual worlds. Their metamorphosis has been interpreted as a symbol of renewal, fragility, and endurance. In scientific terms, metamorphosis is an evolutionary marvel. The same genome encodes two entirely different creatures, a crawling caterpillar and a winged adult, with the chrysalis as the alchemical crucible between them. This transformation demonstrates the plasticity of life, the ability of organisms to reinvent themselves completely in pursuit of survival. The butterfly's role in the Amazon is subtle yet immense. Unlike the otter or the bushmaster, it does not dominate through force or fear. Instead, it binds. It ties plants together through pollination, minerals to reproduction through mud puddling, death to renewal through carrion feeding. Its flight carries the melody of the ecosystem, light, ephemeral, and yet essential. Remove butterflies, and plants fail to reproduce, bird diets collapse, and the forest canopy begins to thin. Their absence would not be dramatic in a single moment, like the strike of a snake, but cumulative and catastrophic, like a melody fading until the orchestra falls apart. In the choreography of the Amazon, the butterfly is the soft counterpoint, balancing the violence of predators with the quiet persistence of connections. Its wings catch the sunlight not for beauty alone, but to remind us that survival can be achieved not only through power, but through partnership. The melody it carries is inaudible, written in pollen grains and nutrient cycles, yet it resonates through every level of the forest. The otter hunts with its family, the bushmaster strikes in silence, but the butterfly moves invisibly among them all, stitching the forest together with each fragile wing beat. The Amazon by night is a different forest, alive with sound yet cloaked in shadows. Crickets scrape their wings in constant rhythm, frogs punctuate the darkness with calls, and somewhere in the understory, the faint rustle of claws meeting soil breaks the silence. Through the green tint of night vision, a small armored figure appears. Its body seems almost prehistoric, plates of keratin forming a natural cuirass, ridged and banded, glinting faintly when a shaft of moonlight cuts through the canopy. With methodical persistence, it lowers its snout to the earth, then digs. Soil turns, roots shift, and in minutes the ground is reshaped. This is the armadillo, not a predator, not a pollinator, but an engineer. While others hunt or gather, the armadillo rearranges the very foundations of the forest, leaving behind structures that will shape ecosystems long after it has moved on. Armadillos are built for this labor. Their forelimbs are short and powerful, tipped with elongated claws capable of breaking through packed soil, termite mounds, or rotting wood. Their bodies are low to the ground, compact and muscular, adapted less for speed than for leverage. The armor that encases their backs is made of dermal bone covered in keratinous scales, a unique adaptation among mammals. This armor is not invincible, but it is sufficient to turn away the fangs of smaller predators and to protect against the incidental strikes of larger ones. In evolutionary terms, it is an investment in endurance. Survive the sudden attack, retreat underground, and live to dig another night. The burrow is the armadillo's signature. These excavations are not temporary shelters, but extensive tunnels that can stretch several meters in length and end in chambers lined with vegetation. Within them, armadillos rest during the day, avoiding the heat of the sun and the eyes of predators. Yet when abandoned, these burrows take on a second life. They become refuges for a host of other species, reptiles, amphibians, small mammals, even invertebrates seeking shelter from predators and the elements. In this sense, the armadillo is an unintentional benefactor, creating micro-habitats that ripple outward through the ecosystem. A single armadillo may dig dozens of burrows in its lifetime, leaving behind a network of shelters that shape the distribution of animals across the forest floor. Digging has another consequence, one less visible but equally profound. By turning soil, armadillos aerate it, breaking up compaction and allowing water and nutrients to penetrate deeper layers. Seeds buried by accident germinate more readily, while decaying plant matter is incorporated into the soil, enriching it for future growth. This process, known as bioturbation, is a subtle but essential form of nutrient cycling. Just as earthworms transform gardens in temperate zones, armadillos transform tropical soils, though on a larger scale and with greater impact. Without them, the soil would become less fertile, plant communities less diverse, and the forest's resilience to disturbance weaker. Their diet reflects their role as subterranean foragers. Armadillos consume primarily insects and larvae, rooting through soil and leaf litter with a keen sense of smell. Termites, ants, beetle grubs, and other small invertebrates form the bulk of their meals. In doing so, they provide a natural form of pest control, keeping populations of wood and leaf-eating insects in check. This service indirectly benefits vegetation, reducing herbivory pressure and preventing outbreaks that could defoliate trees. On occasion, they supplement this diet with fruits, fungi, or carrion, but insects remain their staple, linking them directly to the health of plant life around them. The armadillo's adaptations to a nocturnal lifestyle are subtle but effective. Their eyesight is poor, suited only for low light, but their olfactory sense is acute, capable of detecting insects buried several centimeters underground. Their hearing is tuned to the rustle of small prey, and their body temperature runs lower than most mammals, conserving energy and allowing them to survive on protein-rich but limited diets. This low metabolic rate, however, comes with constraints. Armadillos are highly susceptible to temperature extremes, requiring burrows not only for safety, but for thermoregulation. In the Amazon, where rainfall and humidity fluctuate dramatically between seasons, the burrow becomes a stabilizing refuge, buffering against both heat and flooding. Despite their defenses, armadillos are far from invulnerable. Jaguars and ocelots can breach their armor with powerful jaws or claws, while large snakes may ambush them as they forage. Their strategy against such threats is not confrontation, but retreat. At the first sign of danger, an armadillo bolts for its burrow, its compact body fitting precisely into the tunnel it has dug. Once inside, it braces its armored back against the entrance, turning its body into a living barricade. Few predators can dislodge it, and many give up the chase. This behavior, combined with their nocturnal habits, has allowed armadillos to persist where many other small mammals would have been driven to extinction. Armadillos are also fascinating from a physiological and evolutionary perspective. Their armor is unique among mammals, converging on a design more common in reptiles, suggesting a remarkable case of evolutionary innovation. Some species are capable of rolling into a ball, though the Amazon's 9-banded armadillo typically does not. Instead, its armor is flexible, allowing it to curl partially and squeeze into tight spaces. Its reproductive strategy is equally unusual. In some species, including the 9-banded, a single fertilized egg can split into identical quadruplets, producing genetically identical offspring. This phenomenon is rare among vertebrates and may represent an adaptation to maximize reproductive output under conditions where mates are scarce or reproduction is infrequent. Their interactions with humans are complex. Indigenous peoples of the Amazon have long regarded armadillos as both food sources and symbols. Their burrows are sometimes used as landmarks, and their shells repurposed for tools or instruments. In modern contexts, however, they face threats from deforestation, hunting, and road mortality. Their slow, deliberate gait and reliance on camouflage make them particularly vulnerable to human encroachment. Yet their ecological importance often goes unnoticed. While jaguars inspire awe and butterflies admiration, the armadillo's work remains hidden underground, its contributions quiet but indispensable. The armadillo's role in the Amazon's choreography is less dramatic than a predator's strike or a pollinator's flight, but no less vital. If the giant otter sets the rhythm of the river and the bushmaster enforces order on the forest floor, the armadillo keeps time beneath the surface. Its digging is a drumbeat, steady and persistent, reshaping soil, redistributing nutrients and providing shelter. Remove the armadillo and the tempo falters. Soils grow stagnant, pests surge, and microhabitats vanish. Its absence would not make headlines in the way the loss of a charismatic predator would, but over decades, the forest would feel the imbalance. What makes the armadillo remarkable is not spectacle, but subtlety. It reminds us that ecosystems are not only held together by visible interactions, but by the hidden labor of engineers working out of sight. The Amazon's grandeur depends as much on these small armored diggers as it does on its apex predators. Their claws compose the rhythm, their burrows shape the stage, and their persistence ensures that the performance continues. And so, as the night deepens and the armadillo disappears into its tunnel, the forest carries on above. Predators stalk, butterflies drift, and otters call from distant rivers. Yet beneath it all, the armadillo keeps digging, keeping time for the unseen orchestra of the soil. It is the drummer in this great chain of life, steady, understated, and indispensable. The night in the Amazon is never truly silent. Cicadas pulse like static, frogs echo from pools, and the shifting canopy creaks under its own weight. Yet in these hours of darkness, when the forest seems most alive with sound, another presence moves without making any at all. A faint glimmer of moonlight filters through the branches, catching on fur patterned in rosettes and spots. It is as though the forest itself has painted this animal in camouflage, each patch of light and dark designed to blend seamlessly into shadow. The figure moves with calculated precision, a body built for grace and silence. This is the ocelot, the shadow dancer of the jungle. The ocelot, Leopardus pardalis, is a medium-sized wild cat, larger than a domestic cat, but smaller than its jaguar cousin. It weighs between 10 and 15 kilograms, yet its presence is far greater than its size suggests. Unlike the jaguar, which relies on brute force, the ocelot's power lies in stealth, patience, and adaptability. Its long, slender body, rounded ears, and wide, luminous eyes mark it as a nocturnal hunter. With vision 6 times more sensitive than our own in low light, the ocelot is perfectly attuned to the moonlit hours when most of its prey is active. Its hunting style is one of ambush, but not from the ground alone. Ocelots are as comfortable in trees as they are on the forest floor. Their ankles can rotate, allowing them to climb with agility and descend headfirst, a skill most cats lack. This adaptability gives them access to 2 realms of prey: arboreal birds, squirrels, and small monkeys above, and rodents, lizards, and frogs below. Few predators navigate these layers with such ease, and in this versatility lies their influence. They strike where opportunity allows, keeping prey populations in check across multiple strata of the forest. An ocelot hunt unfolds with a kind of choreography in itself. The cat lowers its body close to the ground, moving with measured steps that barely disturb the leaf litter. It pauses often, ears twitching independently to triangulate faint rustles. Once prey is detected, a bird roosting low, a rodent foraging, the ocelot waits, every muscle coiled. Then, with explosive precision, it leaps, pinning the animal in jaws built not just for capture, but for the lethal bite to the back of the skull. The kill is efficient, honed by evolutionary necessity. Each successful hunt provides enough to sustain the cat for days, a reminder that predators here operate not in abundance but in scarcity, balancing energy gained against energy spent. In ecological terms, the ocelot occupies the role of a mesopredator or mid-tier hunter. While jaguars and pumas dominate the top of the food chain, ocelots regulate the layers below, shaping the populations of rodents, reptiles, and small birds. Without them, these smaller prey species could proliferate unchecked, stripping seeds, insects, and other resources in cascading imbalances. By hunting across multiple niches, ocelots act as stabilizers, their presence a quiet but crucial form of control. Their territories reflect this role. Ocelots are solitary, each individual defending a range that may stretch across several square kilometers, depending on prey density. Males overlap with several females, but they rarely tolerate rivals of their own sex. To mark boundaries, they use scent glands, urine, and claw marks, leaving behind chemical signatures that others can interpret without confrontation. These territorial behaviors distribute ocelots evenly across the landscape, preventing overconcentration of predators and ensuring prey is regulated across wide areas. The spacing is not accidental, but essential, an example of how solitary animals, though rarely seen, structure the broader ecology. Adaptability has allowed the ocelot to thrive where other predators struggle. They can hunt in flooded forests during the wet season, taking fish and amphibians along swollen banks, then shift to terrestrial prey when waters recede. They tolerate edges of disturbed habitats better than jaguars, sometimes venturing into agricultural zones where rodents abound. Yet this adaptability has limits. Ocelots require cover to hunt, and as deforestation expands, their territories fragment. Corridors that once allowed them to move between hunting grounds vanish, forcing them into conflict with humans or into smaller patches where competition grows. Humans, for their part, have always held mixed views of the ocelot. To indigenous peoples, it is both admired and feared. Its spotted coat is seen as a symbol of the forest's mystery, its nocturnal hunting a metaphor for unseen dangers. In some myths, it is a shapeshifter, moving between the human and animal worlds. During the colonial era and beyond, its fur was highly prized, leading to widespread hunting that devastated populations. Though international bans now protect them, the legacy of exploitation lingers, and in many areas the ocelot's presence has diminished. From a biological perspective, their fur is not mere ornamentation, but survival itself. The dappled pattern breaks up the outline of their bodies, rendering them nearly invisible in dappled light. This camouflage is so effective that even experienced trackers often walk past ocelots without noticing. Only the reflection of their eyes in torchlight betrays them, two glowing orbs in the undergrowth. In a forest where visibility is measured in meters, not kilometers, this invisibility is an apex adaptation. The ocelot's role in predator-prey dynamics reveals deeper insights into the balance of the Amazon. When top predators such as jaguars decline due to hunting or habitat loss, mesopredators like ocelots often increase in number, a phenomenon known as mesopredator release. At first glance, this may seem beneficial, more ocelots regulating more prey, but it can destabilize the system. Excessive predation on certain species may reduce biodiversity, particularly among ground-nesting birds and reptiles. Thus, even the ocelot must be balanced by forces above it, just as it balances those below. The Amazon's stability emerges not from dominance, but from layers of restraint, each predator curating its level of the web. The ocelot's sensory world is another key to its success. Beyond its acute night vision, its whiskers detect vibrations, guiding it through dense vegetation in near total darkness. Its sense of hearing can isolate frequencies of prey movement, allowing it to distinguish the shuffle of a rodent from the buzz of insects. Even its paws, padded yet sensitive, provide feedback about terrain, enabling it to stalk silently while feeling the contours of branches or soil. This sensory suite makes the ocelot not only a hunter, but an interpreter of the forest, reading signals invisible to us and responding with precision. Despite their solitary nature, ocelots are not entirely disconnected from others of their kind. Mothers raise their kittens alone, teaching them to hunt through months of observation and practice. The survival of each kitten depends on this education, for hunting is not instinct alone, but skill refined through trial and mimicry. These young ocelots, once independent, disperse to claim their own territories, carrying with them both genetic legacy and learned technique. In this way, knowledge is passed invisibly from one generation to the next, an inheritance that ensures the choreography continues. In the grand metaphor of the Amazon's living performance, the ocelot is the dancer of the shadows. Its movements are silent, fluid, and precise, balancing the stage so no single prey species overwhelms the ensemble. It does not roar like the jaguar or strike with venom like the bushmaster, but it curates its realm with equal importance. Its steps in the canopy, its leaps on the forest floor, and its territorial patrols are all part of a choreography that keeps the system in balance. Remove the ocelot, and rodents surge, birds vanish, reptiles decline. The stage becomes crowded with one voice, drowning out others, and the rhythm falters. And so, beneath the moonlight, the ocelot moves on, disappearing as quietly as it appeared. Its paw prints fade in the damp soil, its presence marked only by the sudden silence of a bird or the absence of a rodent. The dancer has passed, unseen by most, but its influence lingers. In every prey that remains in check, in every balance maintained, the ocelot's shadow continues to shape the forest. The Amazon is often described as chaos incarnate, a tangle of vines, a roar of insects, a swirl of predators and prey locked in endless struggle. But if one looks closer, the chaos begins to resolve into something else. Patterns emerge, movements that are not random but rhythmic, voices that are not cacophony but chorus. Picture it not as a battleground, but as a stage. The curtain rises with the dawn, and the players emerge, the giant otter breaking the surface of the river in a spray of brown water, the bushmaster coiled in shadow, the butterfly drifting through sunlight, the armadillo drumming beneath the soil, and the ocelot prowling along the edges of moonlight. Each enters not in isolation but in sequence, their actions overlapping like instruments in a hidden orchestra. The jungle, it turns out, is not chaos. It is choreography. Consider the otter first. Its family hunts together, regulating the river's middle layers of fish. In doing so, it shapes what happens downstream and upstream at once. The unchecked rise of cichlids or caratines could consume smaller fish and invertebrates, but the otter's teamwork prevents imbalance. The river becomes a regulated artery, its energy distributed more evenly across species. The otter's presence ensures aquatic stability, a base rhythm upon which other voices can be layered. On land, the bushmaster waits, silent but decisive. Its ambushes on rodents and small mammals prevent eruptions of populations that would otherwise strip vegetation, raid nests, and spread unchecked through the understory. The snake is not prolific in number, nor often seen, but its impact is magnified precisely because it operates as a regulator. A single strike removes not only one life, but an entire potential lineage of breeders. In this way, the bushmaster's silence curates the tempo of mammal populations, ensuring that the forest floor does not collapse under the weight of overabundance. Between river and soil, a lighter presence takes its role. The butterfly, fragile in form yet immense in influence, stitches plants together through pollination. Its wings, so easily torn, carry pollen grains that allow entire tree species to persist across generations. When it gathers minerals from riverbanks or drinks from the tears of turtles, it is redistributing resources in ways unseen but profound. The butterfly adds melody to the performance, a continuity of life that transcends individual survival, ensuring plants flower, seeds set, and the forest canopy renews itself. Beneath it all, the armadillo digs. Its burrows provide shelters for other animals, its claws aerate the soil, and its diet of insects curbs populations that might otherwise damage vegetation. In its slow, persistent labor, the armadillo acts as the drummer, not dramatic, not flamboyant, but essential in keeping the rhythm steady. Without its turnover of soil, nutrient cycles falter. Without its pest control, seedlings suffer. Its absence would not echo immediately, but over decades the structure of the forest would shift in silence, unnoticed until the melody itself began to thin. And finally, in the shadows, the ocelot moves. Neither apex predator nor insignificant hunter, it is a curator of balance across two levels, canopy and ground. By preying on rodents, reptiles and birds, it prevents any single group from overwhelming the others. Its adaptability allows it to move where needed, climbing when prey is above, descending when prey is below. It is the dancer of the shadows, adjusting the choreography as circumstances change, ensuring that diversity remains intact. Together, these 5 species do not form separate stories. They are links in a chain. The otter's regulation of fish sustains balance that ripples outward into amphibians and insects. The snake's restraint on rodents prevents pressures on plants that butterflies pollinate. The butterfly, by enabling plant reproduction, ensures the growth of trees that stabilize soils where armadillos dig. The armadillo's engineering of soil sustains the vegetation that supports the prey of ocelots. The ocelot, in turn, prevents the overabundance of prey that might otherwise consume seedlings or insects, closing the loop back to the plants and invertebrates that fuel the system. Life feeds life, death fuels growth, and energy recycles endlessly in a repeating cycle. To see this choreography clearly is to understand that the Amazon is not a random collection of species, but a machine of interlocking gears. Each gear is alive, each moves to its own rhythm, but together they form a system greater than the sum of its parts. If one gear falters, the entire mechanism strains. Remove the otter and fish populations tilt. Remove the snake and rodents boom. Remove the butterfly and pollination fails. Remove the armadillo and soils harden. Remove the ocelot and prey populations distort the balance further. No single role is optional. Each is a note in a composition, and the forest plays only so long as all notes are struck. Science supports this vision, though it speaks of trophic cascades, keystone species, and ecosystem engineers, rather than orchestras. Yet the principle is the same. Remove a keystone and the arch collapses. Silence a melody, and the composition falters. What humans often perceive as wilderness, unplanned, chaotic, redundant, is in fact tuned to a precision born of millions of years of coevolution. Every adaptation, from the otter's webbed paw to the ocelot's rotating ankle, exists because it fills a role within the system. Each movement is not random, but part of the choreography of survival. But this choreography is fragile, and here the story turns. Human interference cuts into the chain with alarming regularity. Deforestation fragments habitats, silencing ocelots in territories too small to support them. Rivers clogged with mercury from mining poison the fish otters rely on. Climate change alters flowering cycles, disrupting the pollination patterns of butterflies. Agricultural expansion compacts soils, leaving the armadillo without ground it can excavate. Every human action silences a note, slows a rhythm, or weakens a beat. The orchestra can continue only so long before its harmony breaks. The Amazon is not a place where survival is a war of all against all. It is a place where survival is a dance, structured by restraint, cooperation, and hidden connections. To see it otherwise is to misread the forest. The predators are not executioners, but regulators. The pollinators are not fragile ornaments, but architects of renewal. The engineers beneath the soil are not minor characters, but keepers of rhythm. And the shadows that move through moonlight are not solitary hunters, but dancers balancing a stage. Perhaps the greatest lesson the chain of life teaches is humility. If every species has its role, then none is expendable. If every link binds the next, then none can be cut without consequence. Humanity often assumes the role of conductor, shaping the forest to its needs, silencing instruments it deems unnecessary. But the Amazon has no conductor. It is self-tuned, self-sustaining, self-correcting, until human hands intervene. And so, the closing question remains. If this hidden choreography truly exists, if the Amazon is less battleground than symphony, less chaos than finely tuned performance, what happens when humans cut the chain? What happens when we silence part of the orchestra? Does the performance stumble and recover, or does the silence spread, note by note, until the forest's music is lost entirely? The answer may determine not only the fate of the Amazon, but the future of the world it sustains.